Hi and welcome back. In this lecture we can talk about key insight 4 from scheduled maintenance to predictive maintenance. So if you look at this diagram you can see all the different types of maintenance. But there are only two main types of maintenance. The first one is what we call reactive or unplanned or corrective maintenance, and the second one is planned and proactive maintenance. So if you look at the reactive, unplanned and corrective maintenance, there's two types. The first is deferred or what we call corrective, and then there's emergency. So deferred maintenance is basically the practice of postponing these maintenance activities like repairs in order to save costs or realigning available budget funding. So the main reason for deferring maintenance is basically for cost. So one of the good examples of this is real estate building maintenance. So you defer the maintenance in order to save some cost, and then you do the maintenance once you have some money to finance those maintenance activities. Then we have emergency maintenance. It is also known as breakdown maintenance. So that's basically the maintenance required when an asset or a piece of equipment suffers from an unexpected breakdown or change in condition that result in an immediate threat to the health and safety of the equipment. So this type of maintenance we must avoid as much as possible, because this will result in the entire production process coming to a grinding halt unless the issue is fixed, because production cannot move forward unless these issues are fixed. Then moving on to the other side, which is basically proactive or planned maintenance. There are two types, which is preventative and predictive. So the first, preventative maintenance, is basically constant interval. So restoring or repairing the component regardless of the condition. For example, fixed time or usage interval. So it can either be 1 month or 1000 hours or something like 5000 kilometers. So age-based maintenance is also similar to this. So it's basically maintaining it constantly regardless of the age of the equipment. Then we have failure finding, or what we call imperfect maintenance. So this is basically maintenance actions that makes a system not good as new but younger. So basically it's the maintenance activities which restores the equipment to the state between good as new or bad as old. So it's something in between those values. Then we come to predictive maintenance. So there are two types in this. So the first is reliability centered and risk based, and the second one is condition based. So if you look at the reliability centered and risk based, it's basically ensuring that the maintenance tasks are performed in an efficient, cost effective, reliable and safe manner. So reliability centered maintenance, or RCM, is basically used to create a more cost effective maintenance strategy to address the main causes of equipment failure, and also it can be considered as a more innovative approach because it defines a routine maintenance program composed of more cost effective tasks to preserve important functions of machinery and equipment. Then finally we have condition-based maintenance, or CBM. So this is basically a maintenance strategy that monitors the actual condition of the asset and decides what maintenance needs to be done. So one of the distinctive features of this is maintenance is done on an as-needed basis. Then let's side by side compare and contrast all these types of maintenance activities. If you look at the constant interval, it's basically scheduled overhaul or replacement of the component, and the objective is basically to restore or repair the component regardless of the condition. If you look at failure finding, it's basically the functional testing of different components, and then the objective is to determine if an unreported failure has occurred. Then there was predictive maintenance, so that was basically the calculation of the variation in the performance threshold. For example, if a certain equipment component has to operate between two temperature levels, it's checking if those parameters are met, and if there's any variations, if there's very high temperature or a very low temperature than the thresholds when operating. So the objective of predictive maintenance is basically to repair or replace a component based on certain parameter thresholds. Then there's risk-based maintenance, so it's basically focusing on either inspection or test. The objective is to understand the condition, conduct a full comprehensive component risk assessment to determine when the next test or intervention is required. Then if you look at deferred maintenance, is basically focusing on repairing and replacing, so to restore or replace following a component failure. Emergency is basically to repair and replace as well. The objective is to restore or replace following an unplanned component failure. So it's estimated that unplanned downtime is costing industrial manufacturers over $50 billion each year, and poor maintenance strategies can reduce an industrial plant's overall productive capacity by 5 to 20%. And also there are new trends coming up, for example, things like adoption of thermographic techniques. So heat can be a good indicator of equipment malfunction, and also infrared-based sensors by monitoring these conditions of the equipment in real time and triggering alerts if any anomalies are detected. Then also there's plug-and-play technologies, or what we call P&P. So it's basically integrating modern technology with legacy equipment because it's really challenging because they do not have a shared or a communication protocol to communicate with all the modern devices that we have. So plug and play devices basically can be easily plugged in or stick to an equipment, and it will automatically understand and sense if there are any anomalies detected. So industrial Internet of Things sensors which can be installed on any machine to improve the condition monitoring, triggering alerts if any anomalies are detected. Then we have new emerging business models called Predictive Maintenance as a Service, or what we call PMAS. So it uses a combination of advanced technologies like Industrial Internet of Things, artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to understand and predict maintenance into real-time accessible solutions for complex operations of industrial plants. So if you look at a traditional manufacturer, they might not have the required expertise to implement predictive maintenance in their business operations because those sensors require a significantly high level of data in order to train those machines to be able to detect anomalies very accurately. So there are significant benefits as well, including giving the water utility providers access to advanced predictive maintenance technologies, reducing wastage, improving process efficiency, and also things like process outsourcing will result in no training of internal staff or change of processors. So when you outsource this kind of service, you do not need to train your internal staff about how to use this equipment and all these new technologies. So you can basically pay a monthly amount and get things sorted. And also reducing time to value. So for example, you can easily get the value and starting to realize the tangible benefits very soon when you incorporate these kind of predictive maintenance as a service to your business. It also significantly lowers your operational expenditure, or what we call OPEX, because all the required maintenance activities can be easily anticipated and we can accurately forecast something before it actually happens. So it's a massive cost saving for the business. But there are also challenges like ownership of data. So these companies work with multiple providers. So for example, if your water plant data is exposed to a third party, which is also working with another competitor, you might have legal issues regarding conflicts of interest. Then there are things like distribution of benefits between stakeholders. So these companies will optimize their internal processes and they might not reveal the minor granular detailed analysis of the predictive maintenance to your business. And also there are things like measuring the ROI or the return on investment as well. Well, those are a few challenges as far as Key Insight 4 is concerned, from scheduled maintenance to predictive maintenance. I'll see you on another lecture.